While most criminals wait until the coast is clear to commit a shooting, some don't care who's watching. Others are so bold that they'll even shoot someone for the whole internet to see. Here's a look at a few crazy shootings that were captured on IG Live. Chicago is a wild city with one of the highest murder rates in the country. The violence has gotten so bad that back in 2017, a shooting that left a 26-year-old man and a 2-year-old boy dead was captured on Facebook Live. Around 1:30 p.m. on February 15, 2017, a 20-year-old pregnant woman was driving a vehicle on the west side of Chicago. Her boyfriend was in the passenger seat while her 2-year-old nephew was in the back seat. The woman was on Facebook Live listening to music while driving around the city when suddenly gunfire erupts. The woman can be heard screaming, while at least 12 gunshots can be heard off camera. The woman eventually tumbles out of the car and runs to get help from a nearby house. She can be heard shouting at witnesses, "Call 911, they killed him. I have a bullet in my stomach." Thankfully, the woman survived, but her boyfriend and 2-year-old nephew were both shot in the head and tragically passed away. The man was identified as Lazarus Collins and was believed to be the target of the shooting. The boy was identified as Levante White Jr. He was one of 3 children who were shot in the city of Chicago just that weekend, which led to a major crackdown on violence in the city. The woman told police that another car had blocked her way as she was driving down the alley. That's when a gunman got out of the car and started firing. So, it sounds like it was a targeted attack that was possibly linked to gang violence. RIP to both the victims who lost their lives. You gotta be careful who you run up on, because this next man ended up catching a body after getting robbed while flexing on live. Flexing can be dangerous. Even though it's natural to want to show off the money you made or the new luxury item you just bought, there's a downside of flexing for the gram. You never know who's gonna be watching and want to take what you have. This next dude had to learn that the hard way after he was almost robbed while flexing a fat stack of cash on Facebook Live. In the video, a man can be seen with a large stack of $20 bills showing it off for the camera. He keeps dissing some unnamed associates, claiming they never want to get money like him. He claims he earned all that in 10 minutes by busting plays. It's tough to know exactly where he got the money from, but chances are it wasn't legal. He also admits that he already lost a few bands in a dice game, but managed to get it all back. He keeps talking trash to the camera for a few minutes while flexing the money. Then, out of nowhere, a voice can be heard from off camera, telling him to hand over the cash. The robber then sticks his arm through the window and appears to have a gun. The dude is clearly startled and starts yelling back at the robber. The camera goes black for a minute and gunshots can be heard, and it seems like the dude who was recording is the one firing. The camera then comes back into focus and the robber appears to be laying on the ground, possibly dead. The man can be heard yelling, "What the f? How you delete this?" But he still continues recording and speaking into the camera. Eventually, the stream just ends and he probably got as far away from the crime scene as possible.
Lane, cuz, God.
Get that shit up, nigga.
Oh shit, bro. You got it, 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 you got it. What the f?
This next man wasn't so lucky and ended up streaming his own shooting on Facebook Live. On March 31st, 2016, a man named Brian Fields was shot while standing outside of a gas station at the corner of 56 and Hoyne Avenue in Chicago. At the time of the shooting, he was looking down at his cell phone while recording himself on Facebook Live. Just before the shooting, he could be heard telling the camera, "They said they heard I was up here, so they had to open the store back up for the kids. And I need somewhere to duck and hide for cover." Minutes later, gunshots can be heard, and the shooter is briefly shown on camera as Brian drops to the ground. He was shot multiple times, including at least once in the face. The shooter wasn't arrested, but police believe that it was gang-related. Brian will be brought to the hospital in critical condition and eventually pulled through. But tragically, his enemies came back and finished the job. Later that same year, Brian Fields was shot to death while sitting in a white 2-door vehicle in the 1900 block of West Garfield Boulevard. But sometimes, capturing a tragic event can leave a record of what happened for the whole world to see. This next man captured his own fatal shooting, including the officers making jokes after he was dead. In May 2020, a 21-year-old named Sean Reed was driving down I-65 in Indianapolis. A police deputy in an unmarked police vehicle saw Reed in a Toyota Corolla driving recklessly and almost hit another vehicle. So he began following him and even requested backup. Inside the vehicle, Sean was live streaming while he drove. When backup arrived, they ended up getting into a high-speed chase for about 10 minutes, which ended when Sean drove into a local business and parked. He attempted to get out and run away, which led to a confrontation and Sean getting tased. At one point, shots can be heard going off, and Sean seems to either drop his phone or collapse to the ground. The live stream continued after he was shot, with more than 16,000 people still watching. One of the people in the chat even comments, "LOL, did they just shoot him?"
Shit.
The video also captures police making comments after Sean had been shot. One officer can be heard saying, "I think it's gonna be a closed casket, homie."
Like it's gonna be a closed casket, homie.
When did he tase him? He probably run right after him and then tase him and then... I'm saying that's a good tase. Shoot at him. That's a solid.
One of the detectives eventually notices the phone and ends alive. But the video quickly started circulating on the internet, leading to accusations of police brutality. Police claim that Sean fired first, and they were just protecting themselves. But the comments definitely weren't a good look, and the officer who shot him was put under investigation. In this next video, a man comes close to getting into a shootout with over 50 people watching him on IG Live. In this clip, a man with the IG handle, #1DoubleBack, can be seen cruising around with a gun while on IG Live. There seems to be another vehicle following him, and he says the guy's even running red lights to keep up.
God damn, he's running red lights and all. This wants to die. He's running a fucking red light.
He yells at the other vehicle, "The f you want, bro?" while pointing a pistol out the window. He then yells, "Who the f are you?" And the dude in the other car yells something back. Both then speed off.
The f you want, bro? Who the f are you?
The driver still seems paranoid and decides to let off a shot and speed up even more before the live ends. It's unclear if anybody got hit, and it doesn't seem like the other car fired any other shots, so the driver may have just been bugging and was shooting at a random person.